We are back. We are back in the Love Deposit Studios for another episode of Living Testimony. Listen, man, it is my honor, my privilege, and my bloodline that we got sitting before me today. You've seen him before. It went viral on TikTok. You've seen what it's done on YouTube. And now he even has a book out, The Making of a Monster. It's none other than Larry The Mack James Neely. How you doing today, Pops?
I'm blessed, man. Yes, sir.
So today, I want to explore your story a little more. But what I'm going to try to dig into is some of the interconnected stories that you've shared with me over time. So I'll just kind of bring them up, and then I'll let you go. And at times, I might ask you questions about them. Is that okay?
All
right. All right. So I watched each and every interview. Matter of fact, there's a guy by the name of Lavelle Pope. He almost has your interviews memorized. He was mesmerized by how cool you were. But when he learned about some of the stories, there were things that he didn't know that I did know. So the first question to build foundation is this. Can you tell me what you've heard or what you know about the legacy of Harrison Neely and how it relates to the family size?
The legacy of Harrison Neely and how it relates to what?
The family size, his wives, his children.
Well, that was my granddaddy. And he had 3 wives, like 21 children. Actually, I think 22 because I was told he had one child by one of his wife's sisters. So that's how the Neelys in Fort Worth. But I mean, apparently he loved the name Rosie because his wife before my grandmother was named Rosie, my grandmother was named Rosie. From what I was told, they were friends. So when she died, he married my grandmother. And he have a lot of the children. He have a lot of children with the same name. Like he had 2 sons named Luther by different wives. He had, let me see, what else he had? I wish I would have known you. You were going to ask me this question. I'd have had them down, you know. But I can remember the Luthers. But there's several of them with the same first and last name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was important for me to establish that foundation because apparently it would seem that Harrison loved women.
And they loved him from what I'm told.
Exactly. So one of the things that I heard a lot growing up was, man, that's that Neely in you. You know, when a lot of women cutting for you, that's that Neely in you. So where does that come from?
I really don't know. I don't know. But I think most of them, you know, they love women. And I guess women love them, you know. You know, man, truthfully, all of my daddy's brothers, they, you know, they had a lot of women. My daddy, I used to think he was one of a kind. And me and my brother used to say, man, I think Mama is the only woman my daddy ever had. And man, it wasn't until after he died, man, I was talking with my mom. Man, she told me some stories, man. It blew my mind, man. But he was good to keep it away from us, man. It was the camouflage.
No, that's good.
Yeah, man. But I remember when I was a kid, man, this a lady used to come up to me all the time, and she said, "You was supposed to be my boy." I didn't know what she was talking about. Then I found out later she was a big. I guess he used to. Yeah, I guess he used to mess with her too, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that answers a big question for me. And so, as we talk about this family, I've never understood kind of the breakdown, right? So we had the ones I heard of, cousin Cleon, and then we had Big Jimmy Neely, and we heard little bits and pieces about them. But today, I'd like for you to think of a story or so to walk us down who they were and the impact they had in the family.
Well, Jimmy, he was my first cousin, my daddy's brother, one of my daddy's brother's son. And his nickname was 6'11", and he was 6'11", barefoot, with his shoes on. He was 7 feet, bow-legged, arms hung fast in kneecap. Couldn't bounce a basketball. People used to stop and ask him, "Do you play ball?" He was a good liar. Sometimes he'd say yes. But man, he was a good-hearted person. But he had a criminal mind. I mean, he grew up like this man I'm talking about. Like, he went to prison. He went to boys' home when he was about 13 or so. Man, he knew how to climb up telephone poles and use a penny to block the circuit some kind of way and steal the copper wire. I mean, this man, he was gonna get him some money, but unlike he would be doing it for a woman, man.
Okay.
Say, man, he would get all his money, then he would give it to some woman. So he was in and out of prison all his life, man, And while he was in prison, I mean, he's the only person that ever knocked the wind out of me, and I could thunk. Say, man, he caught me with a kitten shot once we were boxing. And man, that's as hard as I ever been hit, man. His hand looked like Clydesdale feet. And when he was in prison, man, they said there was back then those turnkeys. They used to use him, man, when the joker was out of line, they'd go get him, whoop other inmates. But then after he got old while he was in there, they had to put him in cell because them young boys, it's like a jungle. They knew he didn't have it no more. They were looking to make a name for themselves. They had to keep him separated, but for a long time, man, every time I go to jail, man, I would always be in, where all the bad boys was. And man, when they found out my name was Neely, if they didn't know me, because most of the people, they knew me, in jail. When you go to jail a lot, man, because it's just like homecoming, So man, but they would be talking about Jimmy. Some women used to call him Big Slim, but say man, he had a reputation. So I had another cousin named Jimmy Jackson, and he went to prison. And Jimmy Jackson was, he came from, a bad acting family too. But when he went to prison, he used to want to go to prison. He used to tell me he wanted to go to prison. But when he went, he said, man, the first day down there, he said, man, he was scared. And he said, man, he was all huddled up. So this dude came up to him and handed him a piece of paper. He said, say, nigga, this is a list. I want you to go to the commissary and get me all this on this list and bring them to me. And he said my cousin Jimmy had heard him. But before that happened, Jimmy Jackson said he was, I think in the mess hall, he said, man, he heard somebody coming down the hall because Jimmy Neely, he talked real loud and said he spotted him from afar off and said, kinfolk. And Jimmy said, man, he said, cuz I was like a little bitch. He said, I saw it. He said, I jumped up and jumped in his arms. So it was at night when the dude had gave him that list, and Jimmy heard him. He said when the sales opened the next morning, Jimmy walked up to that guy who gave him the sales and said, say, you gave my little cousin this list, nigga. Now you take the list and you go fill it and bring it to me. Is that a dude took the list? He wouldn't fill it and brought it to him. Yes, sir.
So it sounds like, when I think of the legacy of Jimmy, because all I knew was he spent a lot of time in prison. And so he was a good dude, but apparently he had, I guess, a good ability to fight.
Huh?
He could fight?
Yeah, he would fight. Shoot, too. Yeah, he shot a boy at the pool hall in Holland here.
We're not talking about Jimmy Lee, though.
Huh? He shot a dude at the pool hall in Holland here. He went home and they got into it over a pool game. He went home and got Uncle Jack's gun and went back and shot the boy and then came back home and sprayed out first in the barrel of the gun and put it back. And when the police came, man, they searched the house. They found the gun, man, and then they were able to tell, man, the gun had been fired. Yeah, but
I guess it was hard for a 6'11" man to get away with stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That puts some color on Jimmy that I might not even know. So there was a couple of other stories that I want to dive into from your memoirs. And one, you told me about Cousin Cleon. Now, I met Cousin Cleon when I was young, but I didn't know he was a killer. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, Cleon, man, I tell you, he came from a bloodline, man, that say, man, his great-grandmother was a hooker. His grandmother was a hooker. His mama was a hooker. Say, man, and like, he was the first boy born in the family. And his mother had a juke joint in Houston. And she had married a dude they called Stoke. And they say that he was whipping her, but Cleon got a gun, killed him. He was 12 or 13. So he went to Gatesville. From there, he went to prison. But yeah, but say, man, I don't know. I just feel like he was one of those who he didn't have a real fair shake at life, man, because he was always from a child, man. He was always, man. He was so advanced, man, with street life. I mean, from a little kid, man. He knew all kind of stuff, man, because he grew up around it, man.
So was that like the only murder that you knew about that
Well, he killed another dude. He he was in the hospital for something. I don't remember what it was. But before he went to the hospital. But anyway, he and this guy got into it until I think the guy had shot him. Let me think about it. But anyway, Cleon got up in the middle of the night and sneaked out of the hospital and went and killed the guy and came back to the hospital. And so when they investigated, they had no proof that he left the hospital, so he didn't get charged for that murder.
So the wristband was his alibi.
Yeah.
So was Cleon any relation to Colonel B?
No. Cleon, he was my cousin on my mother's side. Colonel B was my cousin on my daddy's side.
So you had a couple of bad actors on each side.
Huh?
You had a couple of bad actors on each side.
Oh, a lot of bad actors, man. Colonel B, he used to get to drinking. He'd be laughing, talking about the ones he killed.
You said ones. You didn't. That was plural.
Yeah. He killed like 3 or 4 people, man. And then his son, Stay Ready. He was a killer too. I say, man, Stay Ready even shot his own son, man, in the stomach with a .38. Yeah, but say, man, Stay Ready, man. They used to ask him, say, why they call you Stay Ready? He stuttered when he talked. He said, they call me Stay Ready because I don't have to get ready. One day in Holland Hill, man, this guy came up and he started talking. He was talking noise. Stay Ready. Stay Ready said, say, man, you sure talking a lot of shit. He said, you must have your pistol on, don't you? No, nigga, I ain't got no pistol. I don't need no pistol. He said, you do talking to me like that because I got mine. Hey, man, and the police, they knew he was going to have a pistol, man. And every time the police stopped him, they'd say, hey, Jackson, you got that old pistol? Yes, sir. Well, Jackson, you know we're going to have to take you down. You got that old pistol? Well, sir, I'd rather for you to catch me with it than catch me without it. Yeah, man, he was a good-hearted person, but he would pull the trigger.
So I'm gonna bring this up, and I want you to explain it to me. So some of the viewers, they said, now Larry, he said he was a good person, but he was a killer, and they were talking about Cleo out of New Orleans. Theo out of New Orleans.
Yeah.
That used to have the syrup and the pistol, the 25 with it.
That was Clyde.
See, I'm getting them all mixed up.
Yeah, that was Clyde Byrne. He was a pimp. Well, both of them were pimp, but Clyde Byrne, yeah, he is. Yeah, But Theo was a killer.
So they wanted to know about Theo, and they said, well, how can he be a good person if he a killer?
He was a good-hearted person, but it say, man, he had strange philosophers. It say, man, like, he would, like, if it be fellas congregating on the street, and if he walked up, man, they dispersed, man. So he liked me, man, cause you know I feel no man. So we'd have long drawn out conversation, but say, man, it's like, believe it or not, he used to watch like TBN. He watched Robert Tilton, and he talk about the Lord a lot, man. But say, man, he kept a picture of everybody he killed, man. You know, and he said, man, I tell you, Larry, he said, I do everything I can to sidestep or something, but if I see I can't sidestep it, I tell him, man, you might as well come on to the killing floor. He said, because it's your time. He said, he said, he said, it's your time to go, and the Lord have appointed me as your executioner. He said, now, I didn't kill him. He said, the Lord give it to the Lord take it away. He said, he just used me.
As a vessel?
And he believed that, man. He believed that, man, for real. For real, man. He believed that he was appointed.
But that's what I was going to ask you. So is this the guy you used to tell me when I was a kid?
He the one who told his mama she was a dirty bitch. That's him.
That's him.
That's him.
You know, everybody on TikTok and YouTube, they were like, no, man, Larry got that story from Iceberg Slim. And I read a lot of Iceberg. That wasn't even the same
I don't
story.
falsify nothing. I'm straight up, man. No.
Was Theo the one that his trigger finger itched?
Huh?
Did his trigger finger used to?
No. That was a guy that was a bounty hunter. Yeah, that was a guy that was a bounty hunter. The trigger finger used to jump all the time. Yeah. So.
Tell me about the bounty hunter then.
Well, I don't know a lot about him except he ended up killing a friend of mine's brother accidentally, trying to shoot another friend of mine because my friend of mine, Hawatha, he killed his brother.
Okay.
He killed his brother, but he was really trying to kill another friend of mine named Cleo Houston. Now, Cleo Houston was a killer too, and he had his brother killer, but Smitty had bonded some of Cleo's girls out of jail, and he said Cleo didn't pay him his money or pay him all his money, something. So they got into it one night down on Oakland at the bail barn. And it wasn't at the bail barn, it was at Pinky's. And Cleo got up, and Smitty knew Cleo was fixing to go get his pistol, and he don't. So Smitty just took his pistol out and started shooting, man, and Hawatha's brother was coming in the door, so the bullet hit him. Mm. And the sad part about it is, Tootie, that was what they call Hawatha's brother, but Big John, which was Hawatha's oldest brother, he started the Bandito motorcycle gang. A woman had poisoned him in California, and they were shipping his body home. And Tootie got killed that night, so they had their funerals together, man. That was, they had both of their funerals together, man. Two brothers, man. It was sad, man. Yeah.
So I mean, there's probably 3 or 4 stories that I know that I want to ask you and I want to get to, but I gotta ask you this. So with all of these pimps and non-pimps, can you tell me why you were in a circle of so many killers?
Well, it's like this, man. I always had an inquiring mind, and I was always curious. So, you know, like, I remember when I was a young kid, and I would coming to Dallas. You know, I worked here in the summertime. I work in Selma Ball and coming, but we stayed down just past Lincoln High School, and they would always tell me, "Don't go up down that Oakland. That's a bad street." That was the first place I wanted to go. Because, you know, they had, you know, that's why all the prostitutes and the gangsters and stuff, man, all of them down Oakland. So, you know, I always wanted to go places that were forbidden. And so, I mean, you know, being in the street, you meet people, and, you know, I've always been a real person. So a lot of people just gravitated to me because, you know, I'm going to tell you the truth, like it or not. You understand what I'm saying? And fear, my daddy used to always tell us, man, he said, don't fear the one who can kill your body. Fear the one who can kill your soul. You understand? So I don't fear no man. And I've always been like that, man. I don't. Man. So that's the way I was, man. And so, you know, I ended up being in a circle with a lot of people that, I mean, yeah.
So tell me this. I appreciate you answering the questions about Cleon, and there's so many more. But that was a story that you told me, and you know I'm going to mix it up. I don't know where you were going. I really don't know who you were with. But I know that you got pulled over, and you were riding dirty, and you were with a guy that was a Mason. Can you walk me through that story?
Oh, yeah, man. This guy, he had just got out of prison, and we got stopped. As a matter of fact, we was on 2nd Avenue. And when the cop pulled us over, we both got out the car. And, man, they asked for my driver's license. I gave it to him. They asked for his ID. They took my driver's license, and he just turned. And when he turned, they didn't say nothing else to him. But they kept asking me all these questions, this, that, and that, and this. And then after they searched the car, they didn't find nothing. We got back in the car, and I said, man, it's crazy. I said, they didn't say nothing to you after you got out. He said, man, did you see me turn to the east? I said, what? He said, I'm a Mason. He said, most police officers, judges, a lot of people in high places, they're Mason, man, and they can't go against you. Can't go against your brother. I don't care. What have you done? Say, man, that's true, man. I find that out later on, man. I don't think that a lot of people know just how much power is in that, man. But those Masons, they have a special handshake. I had a ring once, man. And a guy came up to me and said, can you master that? I said, master that? What you talking about? He said, man, that's a Mason ring you got on. And if you can't master it, I can take that ring. I said, man, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. You understand? Because you have some problems. But then later on, I found out, man, that, you know, man, if you have on something that's Mason and they ask you, you have to be able to answer these questions. And, man, it's such a large and secret society. I had a cousin, man, George, And man, we grew up together, and we told each other everything. But say, man, he joined the Mason, man, and they used to talk about riding this goat. This is a ceremony you have to go through. But he wouldn't tell me nothing about what that meant. And my daddy used to be a Mason in his early life, but then after he, you know, got more into the Lord, he realized that he shouldn't be there because of the commitment you have to make. And he told us a few things, you know, but not much, man. It's secret. It's really secret, man. They won't tell you, but it's powerful, man. Yes, sir.
So, and just in your opinion, so most people that pitch masonry, they tend to tell us that it's a Christian organization. Do you believe that?
No. No, I'm going to tell you why. Because they have to go with right, wrong, and indifferent. As a matter of fact, man, I never shall forget. I was probably in the 7th or 8th grade. And I had a teacher. He was from East Texas, from what is it? I think it's Alto. But he told us that it was a black guy down there, and he killed a white man. And he said, man, you know, small town, man, the black man kill a white man, you know, that's automatically, you know, a death sentence. And he said when they went to court, said that this black man, he kept on until he got the judge's attention. And he done some kind of signal with his hand. And they find him not guilty. He walked free. And he said, man,
wow.
That's, you know, that's when he realized, man, that Mason, he found out that that guy was a Mason. And they say that they know each other because it's a handshake. That when you shake a person's hand, if he, you know, whatever handshake it is, you all know each other, you know.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, but it's strong.
So we're gonna have to do a part 5, part 10, part 20, but so one other question that I want to get from you, if possible, and it's a little more touching, but what we didn't talk about on the last interview. So we talked about your addiction, but we talked about you overcoming addiction through faith.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't touch on the period of homelessness. Can you tell us about what it was like to be homeless and the type of people you encountered while you were homeless to inspire somebody and give them hope?
Yeah, well, I tell people as often as I can. See, most people who are homeless because of drug addiction, they didn't have nobody that they felt loved them. You know, love is a powerful tool. See, I was homeless not because I had to be. I had plenty of people love me. You all love me. You understand what I'm saying? All I had to do was stop doing what I was doing.
Keep going.
Okay. But for the little period of time I was homeless, it was a choice. But I had people that loved me. But the people that feel like nobody loved them, they become what I call dogmatic. and anything go. They feel like if don't nobody love me, why should I love anybody? And they would do anything. See, so thank God I didn't. You go through different periods of life for a reason. I don't know why I end up going down all of the roads that I went down, but I know that God had his hand on me because I'm still here. And I can talk about it. I can help somebody. You understand? But, man, love conquers all. And I mean, and if a person that's out there that's homeless, and if they know that there's just one person that loves them, they got hope. But man, to be in a big old world and feel like nobody cares about me, nobody loves me, just think about that for a minute. That will make you be ruthless too. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, it was just, like I said, it's a learning experience. That's all. That's all.
Well, listen, Paul, I appreciate you sharing these snippets from your memoir. And we're going to have you back for a 13th and 14th and 15th session before I can get all this information out of you. But I can tell you it's been powerful. I appreciate you stopping by and being transparent and honest with me.
Glad to.
And this has been an episode of Living Testimony with Larry The Mack James. And I'm Patches the Dread. And hopefully I walked you down through there.
I got a question.
46. Okay, Pops, one last question.
Okay.
What advice would you give to a 46-year-old or a younger generation person trying to maneuver through this life?
Hold on a second. You.
Me?
To get to his level.
Okay.
Yeah, like at Pops, like you're my Pops.
Got it.
I'm trying to, he's talking to the 46-year-old him.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
What would you say, or what advice could you give to the 46-year-old you?
What advice would I give to a 46-year-old?
To you at 46. So when you were 46, that was. What advice, now that you're looking back, being 72, what advice would you give yourself, if you could?
Give it to myself?
Yeah.
As close as you can to God. And whatever you face, he'll see you through it. See, when I was 46, I hadn't been long came off the street, you know what I mean? But I say follow your dream, be true to yourself, and at all costs, be true to yourself, because lies just always cause more lies, more lies, more lies. So, I mean, honesty, best policy, and whatever you endeavor, give it your 100, I admire that about you, man. I told you, you got that pit bull spirit. You ain't got no quit in you. See, I've I start something, and if it doesn't seem to be materializing, I take an exit. But I admire that about you, man. That's great. That's great. I love that. So really, I mean, that's about the best I can do.
I appreciate it, Pop. Love you, man.
Love you more, because my heart is bigger. Yes, sir.
That was a good wrap up.
Huh?